Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, March 15th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about the tool of charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you're enjoying what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to help build consistency as a trader and get better results, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So definitely, if you're liking what you see, get signed up for the free class. Two quick clarification points. Number one, the market is still open for a little bit of time. So yeah, this price right there will still be changing on the charts. The candlesticks will be changing. But I like to do these when the videos, or excuse me, when the market's still open, because then we can capture sometimes some really interesting late day action for the video. And then the next thing is I will be using the 30-minute time frame. So for you beginners out there, what that means is each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So let's get into it. First one here, ticker symbol MULN. And this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched previous videos because I mapped out this ascending triangle here, and today got the big breakout from it. Big gap up, pulled back, but overall from the big picture point of view, everything is still perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines as they've served their purpose for now. And I'm also going to zoom in here a little bit to make these levels a bit more easier to see. So one of the newest areas from the support side of things is going to be this pullback point here. Essentially the previous breakout area, which sits right there around $1.50. So like I said, if you do prefer to play pullbacks, then $1.50 is a level that certainly makes sense to potentially consider with some sort of trade plan. And then for those of you that like to play breakouts, very well-defined, oops, let's change that actually. Very well-defined area right here. Let's just call it the $2 mark. Maybe not exactly at $2, but I'm going to round it up and just call it right around that area. And while nothing is guaranteed, it is certainly plausible to think that if the price can get back up to $2 and then break up through it, that break in and of itself could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So again, there's no such thing as a guarantee in the market, but our job as traders is to identify areas that are not random. And by no means could anybody accuse you of saying that $2 is just some sort of random area on the chart. No, there's a sense that goes into it. So again, that doesn't guarantee that anything would for sure happen, but is it plausible to think that way? Absolutely. So if you like to play breakouts, $2 is certainly an area to keep a close eye on. Next one, AGRI, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched previous videos, but even if you didn't, quick recap, I put both the red line in play and then the green line in play in a previous video, and both followed through today. Number one here, the power of charts. Price made a nice move up and then got up around this general area of resistance, ultimately ran out of momentum, and then pulled all the way back down, and then surprise, surprise, look right where it pulled down to. Hovered right around the general area of that support trend line, and then to give full credits due, has held, got a little bit of a bounce right here, but is now hovering around that area. So within the grand scheme of things, nothing has necessarily changed from the last time I did the video because the price is still within the pattern itself. Now, of course, things have changed because the price went up there and came down, but again, generally speaking, the price is still within the pattern. The one difference being it is potentially a little bit closer to breaking, closer to the downside. Now, just because it's nearer to that area doesn't mean that it's for sure going to happen. But if you're to say, well, what looks more likely? Well, given that the price is closer to breaking down rather than breaking out, it potentially could start to head to the downside. If that does play out, in other words, if the price breaks to the downside of that trend line, then the next interesting overall level of support is that purple line right there, which on my chart denotes the very well-known 50-period moving average, currently valid at, we'll call it $3.20. So keep an eye on that, like I said, if that trend line is broken. But if the price does return back upwards, then it's all about that 475 mark as the key breakout point. Next one, NIO, continuing to do this just because I know it's a very popular stock, and I know that, I will go ahead and call it a cult stock. I mean, almost a cult-like following on this one over the past couple of years, and it just continues to get beat up more and more, and the technical updates need to be made. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that level. It served its purpose for now. And the newest update, which played out just as, kind of the basics would suggest, but going into the day, this 1535-ish mark was a level of support, but because the price broke down below it at the open, you would expect it to act as resistance. And then you can see early on in the day, there was a bounce, but look at that. The price basically leveled off right at that level before finally getting rejected back down to it. So my point here going forward is if the price does try to consolidate out and then work its way back upwards, New big question mark resides right there at 1535. First off, in the sense of can the price even get back up to it? But then the next question, which is the very important one, okay, that's great. The price has gotten up to it, but can the price actually have enough strength to break above it and stay above it? So 1535 will be that main level, like I said, with any sort of break to the upside. As far as levels of support, nothing fancy or complicated here at all. Literally just a question of, well, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at $13.80. Which occurred during that opening 13 minutes of the day, the opening 30 minutes of the day. So that'll be that main area of support. But all in all, the downtrend continues. However, I find this very fascinating because there is such a big following with it that you got to think any sort of even slightly positive news could cause a very big, very worthwhile tradable upside bounce. So that's why for me, it's remaining on the watch list. Next one, AMC, and like NIO, a very big following out there and another rough day. So I'm going to go ahead and do some updates here, get rid of these levels to try to keep this as clean as possible. Don't want to risk causing confusion because there's lines and clutter everywhere you look. So let's try to keep this, like I said, as clean as possible. But first update, like I said, you've just heard me say it. Level 1425 was the area of support going in, but with the price down below it, that would now be considered an area of resistance. So to give some credit where credit's due, from the low point where the price was during that opening 30 minutes, a nice little bounce here. Now, of course, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done, but being able to draw an arrow like that as opposed to just saying, and the price just went down the entire day. Obviously this situation is much better. So again, the quote unquote next bit of work that needs to be done is getting back up to that 1425 mark. And then just like NIO throwing out the question, okay, that's great that the price has gotten back up to that level, but will the price have enough strength and power to push above it and stay above it? That'll remain to be seen. And then again, just like NIO, as far as supports, literally a question of, okay, well, where did the bleeding finally stop today? That was down there at 1290. So moving forward, 1290 will be that newest main level of support here on AMC. Next one, DIDI, and another Chinese stock here, which again, all it takes in my mind is just a shred of, it doesn't even have to necessarily be good news, but almost like, oh, that's not as bad as what was thought. And these stocks could very well make, I'm not saying full-blown reversals, but from a trading standpoint, which is the idea behind this is a trading watch list, not an investment watch list. It could produce some very nice movements. And in my mind, the key level to watch on this one here is that trend line right there, which once again, as I talked about already, but want to reiterate, am I saying that if the price comes up here and breaks that trend line, that it's guaranteed going to send it upwards with a big bounce? I'm not saying that, but is it plausible to think that if the price can break this very well-defined downtrending trend line, that could signal some strength, and that strength could turn into a worthwhile bounce? Yeah, that's not a guaranteed thought, but a very plausible and logical outcome to think through there. So keep a very close eye on that. If you like to play, like I said, dead cat bounces or whatever terminology you want to use, to me that stands out as a key level. And then as far as supports are concerned, once again, going back to that question of, well, where did the bleeding stop today? Actually, I take that back. The bleeding actually stopped on Friday down there at $1.70. So $1.70 remains that key area of support to watch. But the most interesting dynamic here in my mind is let's see if the price can break up through that resistance trend line. And if it can, just how much more upwards momentum is generated. Next one, RCAT, and a beautiful pattern here. Nice price range for those of you that like to play the sub $5 stocks here. But let's just get this pattern mapped out. And I want to reiterate, I'm not trying to come across like this is some sort of special talent on my part or that this is some sort of secret discovery. I assure you a lot of people that use charts have noticed this and are going to be watching it. And I say all that again because call it self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. When lots of people are watching the same pattern, wondering the same things, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So the top part of this pattern here is just this resistance area right up there at $2.90. And then as far as the bottom part of the pattern is concerned, we'll get that support trend line in play. Change that to green to represent support. And you can see, and this will, again, like I said at the beginning, why I like to do these videos when the market's still open, because who knows? Maybe we're going to capture. Is it going to get up there and try to break through that trend line as I speak here? We'll have to see what happens. And then just to keep the pattern all the same color, maybe easier to see, we have our resistance there. We have our support here. We have our big momentum move right here. And to make it a little bit more visual, if I put the golf hole down here, we have ourselves a bull pennant pattern. So if you're someone that likes to play bull pennant patterns and you like to play this price range, then this one definitely needs to be on your watch list. Next one, GFAI. Talked about this one on Friday and how things were looking pretty ugly, but we needed things to get a bit more ugly, to potentially make a move. But yeah, things, at least per my definition of ugly, maybe you're okay. Maybe you felt confident, buying around that area. And if you did do that, well, hey, you were right. I was wrong. Good call on your part. But the point here being is, all right, this thing got some more life today as the price made a nice move up. Sure, it pulled back here, but in pulling back has now mapped out a very, very well-defined area. So again, going back to that whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, that $1.10 mark certainly sticks out like a sore thumb. A lot of people are going to be watching it. That's where the price was rejected a couple times there, and then rejected once right there. So again, guaranteed? No. Plausible to think that if the price comes up to $1.10 and can get the break up through it, that break could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. Absolutely. So definitely keep a close eye on that mark over the next few days. Next one, SOFI, and same premise as NIO, AMC, a very, very followed stock, and one that has just been, absolutely beat down. Look at this trend line that I can draw here. Look how crazy that general trend line is right there. Absolutely bonkers how steep this is. There's a couple other, you could draw a trend like that if you wanted to get things a little bit wider of an angle. But the whole idea here is that this thing has really been beat down, and over the past couple of days been beat down that much more. So if you like to play these, stocks that, potentially come off the bottom because there's not even necessarily good news, but just, not as bad of news, then this is one to keep an eye on, with that trend line as potentially some sort of leading indicator of a signal of strength. But I'm going to just keep saying it because I want to reiterate it. Just because the price may break that trend line, I'm not saying that implies things are guaranteed to skyrocket up. But does it become a little bit more plausible, a little bit more realistic at that point? In my opinion, yes. But like I said, SOFI, very well followed, very much so beaten down right now. So all it's going to take is some sort of spark, and it could very well create a good tradable upside bounce. Next one, AEI, and this is just a good old-fashioned solid uptrend. So, and I realize this isn't everybody's price range, but if you do like to play penny stocks and you're looking for a penny stock in an uptrend, then that's hard to go wrong here with this one. However you want to look at it, if you want to look at it from a stair-step perspective and each look at these sets of lows as stair steps, you have that. If you prefer to more so just look at, moving averages, you have a nice upward sloping 50-period moving average, nice upward sloping 200-period moving average. So that looks fine, also. But like I said, very, very nice overall uptrend. Maybe not the most exciting thing, but because it is a penny stock, those percentages add up that much quicker. So keep an eye on this. And from just a resistance standpoint, definitely the key battleground here and where the trend is currently struggling is up there at 52 cents. But if the price can push up through 52, well, then that would just give the trend new highs. And that's what it's all about from a trend building perspective, higher highs and higher lows. And from an overarching, perspective to watch the trend, I think the easiest way is just to watch the purple line there, meaning as long as the price stays above that purple line, as the line itself moves higher and higher, then the trend is perfectly fine. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and going to go ahead and get some house cleaning done here. Delete these lines out. Yes, they still pertain, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to risk causing confusion because there's clutter and lines of work. So let's try to keep this as clean as possible. And you know what I'm going to do here. So this was a former area of support, but now that the price is below this 980-ish mark, that's going to be a main area of resistance to watch going forward. And Tesla is one that I keep an eye on every single day. I did actually trade it twice today. So point here being is I'm kind of talking out loud to myself with key levels that I'll be watching tomorrow. But yeah, 780 is definitely a very interesting level. So if the price continues to bottom out and then works its way back upwards, in my mind, that's going to be one of those areas where, okay, that's great that the price has gotten up to 780, but can it push through it? And then as far as this trend line, that's more of a curiosity thing that I'm just keeping an eye on. I realize it's not relevant right now, but we'll just keep an eye on it. And maybe, later this week or maybe next week at some point, it'll come back into play. But as of now, just like I said, more of a curiosity thing to keep that level up there. Because, in the near term, 780 is certainly going to be that most relevant level. And then as far as supports are concerned, you can see, and this is pretty crazy because a bunch of people are going to be watching this area at 755, myself included. Check it out. Not once, but twice. And really, you could argue maybe 3 times. Now, I get it, that didn't hit it exactly, but still, certainly well within the range. So that's going to be an area that longs and shorts and everybody in between are going to be watching and wondering, okay, can the price hold above that? And if it can't, then once more, no guarantees. But it's certainly valid to think that could create quite a bit of downwards pressure. So we'll see what happens with it. But I think the most interesting area by far headed into tomorrow is right around that 755 mark. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free class later this week. Like I said, it'll be Thursday, March 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up. If you enjoy these top 10 watch lists, then please help me out with some basic communication. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment. As long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to put in the time and effort to structure these watch lists, do the analysis. But like I said, I just want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time. So if you enjoy, then help me out. Hit the like button. Leave a basic comment. Tell me what you traded today. Say hi. Let me know what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things go a long way in letting me know that I'm using my time wisely. So I thank you in advance. And again, definitely get signed up for the class, and hopefully I'll see you on Thursday.